Thanks. So, look, my background is, you go far enough back. I'm a web enthusiast at heart. Got to, the fortunate timing of growing up in the '90s when the web was a very nascent concept, and got to sort of grow with and explore and fall in love with a lot of the potential of the web, which led me into a career prior to what I'm doing now, on in really digital agencies. So, largely focused on the application of the web and sort of how things evolved through social and platforms, et cetera. So prior to joining Automatic, I was in WordPress VIP. I was part of Omnicom Group, the large holding company behind
Yeah.
a lot of marketing and communications organizations. And we were deploying digital standards across some of the biggest brands in the world, and that led me into Automatic, and ultimately now this role at WordPress VIP, where we're taking WordPress, the technology, open source software that is ubiquitous on the web. 43+% of websites that you encounter are going to be powered by WordPress, and really taking that and saying, how do we take everything that's wonderful about WordPress and this technology that's become ubiquitous in web and digital, and then open that up to some of the most demanding use cases and organizations in the world. And so that's really what we're doing here at VIP, and I'm the CEO of that, and so I get to focus on that every day.
Great, great. Love it. Well, yeah, let's dive in here. And we're going to talk about a few things. But the first thing I want to talk about is lots of talk about AI these days in a number of different ways. Certainly when it comes to marketers, content creation is something that's top of mind. So, a stat out there, over 50% of the internet's content is now generated by AI. That's 50%. That's quite astounding for a relatively short time frame. But 70% of AI generated headlines are outperforming human written ones as well. So not only is there a lot of it, but it's doing well. What do these statistics tell us about the future of content creation?
Yeah, gosh, we probably don't have enough time to maybe go through everything that it's telling us about the
Sure.
future of content creation here. But I think it's another amazing sort of technological advancement that we're all getting to experience right now. No different than mobile maybe was 15 years ago or whatever, where we were
Yeah.
seeing an entirely new, entire shift in how we think about something. And so I think the statistic you cited on 70% of headlines generated, by AI or outperforming those by the human, that's the kind of thing that's really exciting for us, because that's where our business is really focused in, like, how do you think of AI as a superpower? And I think the reality is a lot of what we do, we have, some of our products include an analytics platform that collects analytics across several hundred million users every single day. And we can take that and say, okay, what is driving interaction? And then we can apply that to a human curated process. So I think the reality that 70% of those headlines are outperforming is just it's a recognition that, look, if you're able to synthesize a data set that is impossible as a human to synthesize, and you apply that, the statistical result of that is, like, you're going to outperform. So this is one of those things where we look at this and say, hey, this is something that is going to unlock more potential for us as individuals. Now, that other half of content that's written by AI, there's lots of pluses and minuses to this. I think where we look at the largest brands in the world and the biggest organizations, it's not so much how do I outsource all content generation to the machines now. It is like, look, we know our customers, and but we only have so much capacity, and so what's the right balance of AI support, things like high performing headlines potentially,
Yeah.
along with human curated and driven connections that we make through content. I think the best work out there is where those things come together, not where we're just shipping it all off to AI, as we're saying, to
Right.
accomplish it.
Right. Because I mean, just because you can doesn't mean you should. It's super easy to generate a lot of content, but it's the value of it. In the headline case, there seems to be a lot of value in doing that. In some other cases, it may not. So, this is where that human judgment is still needed. What does all this mean for content strategy? When AI is playing potentially a pretty big role, but not the sole role. How do content strategies evolve in this case?
Yeah, I mean, I still think, I look at this and say our content strategies can become more ambitious, because I've never heard or interacted with a customer or any organization where they've said, I have so many people and so little things to do that, like, I've got, excess capacity. I think the reality is there's a lot of things that folks want to be doing, and there's just capacity constraints.